And we are recording. So, Callum, tell me about your project. What are you doing?
The project is a document.
Sorry, guys. We're recording again. Can we have a little bit of hush? Apologies for this. Okay. Tell me about your project.
My project is about a documentary about video games, like are they good or are they bad? The reason why I wanted to do this is because there's a lot of stigma in the news at the moment. Not in the news, but in, like, if you look at certain gaming sites or certain communities in the games, or games are this, games are that. So I wanted to just clear up on what it is about games.
You play games?
Yeah.
Tell me about your practical skills playing games.
Well, I know quite a bit about games because I don't just play them. I literally sit there and I'll read an article on them, or I'll look into them to make sure that they're good and that. So I've come into this with an open mind because I knew that if I only did one side, it would be biased, like, oh, I love games. Well, so I wanted to have two sides of this race just to make sure it's equal, not biased.
Yes, you've anticipated my next question, which is, what do you think? Do you think they get good or bad for you?
Well, it depends on how you use video games. See, like, people with like anger issues or who struggle with anger, and that could use like a video game to get their anger out instead of taking it out on their parents. But and then another problem is if you don't have a lot of money and you want to keep buying games, you could lose your money in that, and it depends on basically what people's perspective are.
Now, playing video games is really one big practical skill, isn't it? Because you're learning, for each game you're learning different skills.
Yep.
How do you learn those skills?
Just by literally sitting there and playing that game over and over, like for 1 or 2 days, and then I learn them and I'm off by heart. I know it's hard though because there's so many different types of games. You've got first-person shooters, racer games. You've got like puzzle games. So to go from every one of them is not easy, but you find the middle and you work on it.
And do you research if it's a new game? Do you research it online?
Yeah.
Do you look up a YouTube tutorial?
I look up, but I also sort of like don't want to spoil it. I look up on the reviews, and if it's bad, I'll be like, I'll see how bad the reviews are. If they're not that bad, I'll go buy it. But it's being a gamer, coming into this doing video games, I have a big understanding than someone who's just come in and said don't know nothing about games.
Alright, so we're specifically talking about practical skills. So you're doing the website, you're doing the documentary.
Yeah.
Tell me about the practical skills you've used whilst you're putting this together.
Well, I've never used a real light reflector, so I needed to learn how to use that. So I've used that. Also, I've never led something, so that was another skill I used, like how to lead people. It wasn't easy though.
Okay, let's start from the light reflector. What is a light reflector?
A light reflector is something where you use it if you don't have like good light, or if you have good light and you want to make one side of the face a bit lighter, you use it.
And why did you need one?
I didn't use it, but I just wanted it just in case because of the room, if it was too bright or too dark on one side, so I could just sit down and make someone hold it for me.
Because when I've used one in the past, you use them to bounce light off faces normally, don't you?
Yeah.
Often if they're in the dark or something like that. But they're usually used for outside, to reflect onto the sun. You put the sun on it and you bounce onto the face. Yeah? What else? I mean, what cameras did you use? Tell me about the cameras and how you use them.
I think I used a Canon 700D, so it was like, I knew how to use it because I've used it before, so I was like confident with the camera. I knew how to set it up, but there was a bit of an issue with it. The audio was playing out a bit. Like, I went back and looked at my footage and all the audio is fine. So
okay, so you had audio issues.
Yeah, but it wasn't to do with the SD card. I think it was something to do with the camera that wasn't playing the audio, so I couldn't listen to it back.
So is this a new camera that you've used this time?
Yeah.
So tell me, so you've stretched yourself, you've used new equipment.
Mm-hmm.
How is it different to other cameras that you've used?
Well, the other cameras I used weren't really good at like, filming. They were good, but they weren't like to the quality that I needed it. So I wanted to use something just a little bit more better, just to get that quality better onto my documentary. So
and what do you mean by quality? Is it colour? Is it tone?
Colour,
sound?
tone, like just the way it looks. Because if you're using an older camera, sometimes the pixel won't look good. So if you use a new camera, it will bring out a bit more colour in them pixels, so it will look to a professional standard.
Yeah. Okay, and have you found that to be the case?
Yeah, I've looked through my footage and it's more neater now than it was if I would have done it last year.
Okay, so tell me how you've stretched yourself with your camera skills.
Well, I knew a little bit about the camera that I needed to change some of the light settings, and like the iOS changed it a little bit because I was in a room with like bright lights, so I wanted to make it to that so it wasn't look dull and that. But except for that, it's hard using cameras, but I know how to use them, so I've stretched myself in certain ways.
Okay, what about the sound?
The sound is, I've looked on the Premiere Pro that I use, and it's really good.
So what did you use? Tell me what you used to get the sound. Did you have a Zoom?
I used the mic, I think it was a Rode mic, I'm not too sure, it just plugged into the camera, so I could use that as...
Oh, it's actually plugged into the camera,
yeah.
It wasn't plugged into a separate Zoom. Okay, that's good.
Because it would be more people to have on scene, and I didn't want to have too many people on there.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it as small as people as I can, because it would, and then people would be tripping over, people would be less health and safety issues for me. And that's all. Kept it to about 3 or 4 people, and that was it.
How big was the microphone? I mean, what kind of was it? Can you give us an idea of the size of the microphone?
It's quite about that size.
So quite small.
Quite small.
And so, what was it like for picking up sound?
It was actually really good because I had the camera back the width of this now, so the camera wasn't too far back or too far forward. I measured it to make sure that the person was sitting in the centre and that. Because I don't like everything to be wonky. I like wonky. I like it to sort of be like sort of symmetrical. So I made sure it was all perfect before I filmed them.
Okay, so that's the sound. We've done the pictures and the sound. What other equipment have you used? So you've been editing, haven't you?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, when I did my last project, I sort of knew how to use the Animate After Effects and Premiere Pro, but I didn't really know how to use them properly, so I sort of spent the time messing around with them a bit, getting used to them because I want to get better at them. So I've learned a couple of new skills off that.
Tell me about those.
Well, the new one is fading in and like fading both in together and like trying to put clips together, because I have a lot of footage, so I need to go through it and make sure I have all the clips I need. So that's quite hard, and I'm still doing that now.
How did you learn to do the fade in and fade out?
I just messed around with it, like.
So you just had a look and you just played around?
I was just playing around with it, and suddenly I made it work, and I was like, okay.
And it was quite good, I imagine. Yeah. It was quite fun. What else did you learn?
Don't know. That's I think.
Slow-mo or?
I haven't touched it yet, but I'm sort of trying to figure out how to do all of that at the moment.
Because I find when I had a couple of days course before I came here, and then I just have been teaching myself, like you, with YouTube videos and just playing around and trying things out.
That's the thing I like to do. I don't mind teachers teach me. I like to go on my own and learn how to do it myself, because I learn at my own pace, and it's easier for me to learn on my own and learn how to do all these techniques.
Now, are you using any special effects in your film?
No. I am using animation, and I'm trying to sort that out at the moment to make sure it's perfect, because the first time I did it didn't look good, so I'm redoing it all again.
So yet another skill that you're demonstrating is animation.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. What are you planning to do, and how do you do it?
I'm planning that I've got a couple of questions that I'm going to use from the documentary, and I'm going to use them, but I'm going to one of them's like, do you think games hinder you? And the other one's like, have you had any injuries? I'll put my personal experience on them injuries, just to show people that you can get injuries from games, but don't keep playing games, video games, and you'll make it worse and worse, and then just rest in that. And the other one was about the age rating system, which is quite confusing, so I'm going to put pictures in that across, and also try to voice it over, get someone to help with the voiceover to make it sound better.
So for someone watching this who doesn't really know what an animation is, I mean, we know it's a cartoon type thing, but what do you mean by animation?
Animation is the way something moves, or if you fade it in or out and stuff like that.
It's like a graphic image?
It's a graphic image that you can either move it to one side or the other, or you can fade it in and out.
So what do you use to create the animation?
After Effects is one of the best ones to use, but if you don't have that, there's other programs that you could use.
So again, can you explain what is After Effects and what can you do on it?
It's not like Animate, where you can draw characters and animate them a bit, but this is where you use writing or pictures or images, and you animate them through that. So say if you're doing a film and you want to put some writing on that film, you'd get that clip and put the writing on it and then animate it in and out.
Now you can't really storyboard a documentary,
No.
but you can write a script. Have you written a script?
I've written a script for the voiceover that I'm doing hopefully next week, so I'll put that onto the practical skill page.
Okay, so you're doing a voiceover.
Yeah.
So
I'm
tell
probably
me
going to get
about
someone else to do the voiceover to make it.
so the script. Did you do research for the script? I mean, how did you?
I knew what a script was, so I just literally sort of done my own script, like 3 questions that I'm going to do in the documentary, and then put my right information down that I need.
Okay, so you've written a script.
Yeah.
How long is it?
It's only like three questions, but each one goes into a bit of detail.
Yeah.
So say about 382 words all in all.
Did it take you a long time to do the
Yeah, it
script?
took me 2 days to do the script because I needed to make sure it was like all perfect, everything was there, because if not it would make the documentary look a bit unprofessional, so I wanted to make sure it looked absolutely professional before I uploaded it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's sum up then. Have you done any interviews?
Yeah, I did them like 3-4 weeks ago with a couple of gaming people. So that I asked for a couple of gaming people and the teacher to do interviews with me, and they said yeah, sure they will.
I'm just going to ask you that again. So, have you done any interviews? And tell me about your interviewing technique.
Yeah. I did interviews about 3 to 4 weeks ago with a couple of students and the teacher that are in gaming level 3. I asked them a couple of questions, but I also sort of went off the road with the questions and asked my own questions to make it more interesting, because just asking questions in an interview isn't really smart, so I sort of went off the bath a bit.
So you basically prepared a list of questions,
Yeah.
but you also thought up your
Yeah.
own at the time as well.
And then I went into a bit more detail with some of the questions, like do you think the edge rate system's good, explaining that, so I made sure it was like alright for it.
And what do you know about interviewing? What's the best way to do an interview?
Well, there's loads of different ways. You have ways that you can make the audience involved, or you can just do it like you and yourself. There's a couple of other ones, but I did it with like me behind the camera, so like no one would know who I was.
Okay, let's conclude then. So you've obviously used a lot of skills in this project. Let's big ourselves up here. Let's talk about all the ways that you stretched yourself, the new things you were talking about, leading a project.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I've never actually led a project. I've helped people do projects, but I never led it, so it was like sort of like not easy for me, but it wasn't like hard. So I didn't know what to do, so I sort of had to make sure everyone knew their roles and that. But except for that.
What did you find hard? What did you find easy?
The hardest part was researching all about documentaries, making sure my documentary met my target audience, because I didn't want to make a lame documentary. The easiest part was getting the film footage and that, because it was just ask a couple of questions and then
Actually filming it.
yeah, filming it was like the easiest part of it.
And what about leading the project? What was the hardest part about that?
Making sure my crew knew what to do.
And how did you do that?
I just told them exactly what to do.
And you planned it, I'm assuming. You did some planning, which you can put on your website. Okay. And so let's do like I asked Amy. What would you say about how you've grown? Because obviously we want to find out how you.
I've learned a lot of different skills here, and if I do go on to next year, it will help me through like level 3 and that to improve my skills.
So do you feel like you've learned a lot more skills
Yeah, I've
doing
learned
this?
a lot more skills doing my final major project than other projects. Because it's in depth.
Got anything else you'd like to say?
No, not really.
Thank you.